on the Young Turks. Cenk, Uygur, and Kasparian with you guys. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. We've got our regular show during the COVID days, at least, going for 1 hour here, 6 to 7 o'clock. And then at 7 o'clock, we're gonna have our Juneteenth special. We're gonna go 2 hours there. Please don't miss it. We're gonna go over the history of Juneteenth a little bit and then get into some really interesting conversations, and some of them controversial, and we won't all agree. So a lot of folks do shows where they're just super safe. No, we're gonna, as always, keep it real and at times raw. So, and there'll be disagreements among the panelists as well, which again is fairly unprecedented. That's gonna involve me, Benjamin Dixon, Jared Jackson, Adrian Lawrence, Jason Carter, Alonzo Bodden, and Ida Rodriguez. So we're gonna rotate some of those hosts, and it's gonna be, I think, really spectacular, and I hope very, very informative, and cover a lot of parts of Juneteenth and what's happening this day and age. Okay, so that's just in 1 hour. Stay right here. Now, also, as we do at the top of every show, we're checking in on how we're doing in terms of keeping Young Turks independent and strong and healthy. TYT.com/go is the campaign. We're doing that for or through, and we're trying to raise 200,000 a month, and then obviously when we're okay, we'll cap it. And so wanted to see how we are. Let's take a look at the thermometer real quick. 96,205. Every day that I look at that, I'm enormously thankful. Every day I look at the donor one inside my house, and I see your comments that some of you sent in with it. I'm enormously grateful. We do this show together, so thank you for making that happen. Be great, obviously, to get to 100 as we're well past the halfway point. TYT.com/go. All right, Anna, lots of stories. Let's get to it.
Well, let's start off with some progress in the Breonna Taylor case. One of the 3 police officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor has finally been fired from the Louisville, Kentucky Police Department. The Louisville Courier-Journal reports that Brett Hankison is accused by the department's interim chief, Robert Schroeder, of, quote, blindly firing 10 rounds into Taylor's apartment, creating a substantial danger of death and serious injury. Not only was it a substantial danger of death, Breonna Taylor, an innocent individual who was sleeping in that room, lost her life, was killed as a result of this. The interim chief also released a statement saying, "I find your conduct a shock to the conscience," obviously speaking about Brett Hankison here. "I'm alarmed and stunned you use deadly force in this fashion. The result of your action seriously impedes the department's goal of providing the citizens of our city with the most professional law enforcement agency possible. I cannot tolerate this type of conduct by any member of the Louisville Metro Police Department. Your conduct demands your termination." Now, remember, there were other officers involved, although Brett Hankison is the individual who fired his weapon 10 times, 10 rounds. And this doesn't mean that the firing will lead to criminal charges. There still are no criminal charges in this case. Neither the FBI nor the Kentucky Attorney General have announced any criminal charges against any of these 3 officers. And by the way, Hankison was previously disciplined for reckless conduct in 2019. So I know how much supporters of cops like to mention the records of victims who were gunned down while they're unarmed and doing nothing wrong. So let me just bring up his record. He's been disciplined for reckless conduct, but many cops have been in the past. And even the officer who murdered George Floyd on the streets was disciplined previously. He had dozens of complaints against him for police brutality specifically, and he was still allowed to work as a cop. And someone lost his life as a result of that, and that's definitely the case in the Breonna Taylor story.
Okay, so calls all over social media to arrest them as well. If you fired 10 rounds into a room you didn't see and you had no idea who was in it, you would definitely be arrested. It's not a question, it's a 100% guarantee. So the police chief's statement there was strong, though I'm incredulous about it. He says he's shocked to find gambling in this institution, to quote Casablanca. So no, why would you be shocked? There's dozens of these all around the country all the time. In fact, we have another story of a police shooting in California where, again, they shoot a guy running away. Rayshard Brooks shot in the back. In Charleston, South Carolina, another shooting in the back a couple of years ago. I mean, how many? I can go on and I can take the rest of the show to tell you all the shootings where the cops either shoot in the back or without looking, shoot indiscriminately, shoot when they know someone is unarmed, shoot before asking if they're armed or unarmed, shoot people, 12-year-old kids with toy guns. And now you're shocked? No, that you don't tell cops to shoot unarmed people. You don't tell them to shoot before you know what's going on. You just tell them the world is super scary. Do not ever take even 1% of a 1% chance with your safety or health, let alone your life. So everything you've ever told them is implicitly shoot, 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 shoot. Don't take any chances. So now you're shocked. No, there's nothing at all shocking about this. It's actually the banality of evil. What's really disturbing about it is how commonplace it is. But obviously, I'm glad he was fired. But if we don't change the culture of policing, I was going to say later you'll find a statement, but literally later today, we have a statement for you of cops continuing to be shocked in another part of the country that their colleagues shot indiscriminately.
Yeah, I agree with you on the statement. It's a strong statement, but just keep in mind that the police report on the day that, or I should say night, that Breonna Taylor was murdered was empty. That police report was blank. And by the way, it happened 98 days ago. So there was complete inaction until today, where one of the three was fired. And by the way, the mayor of Louisville, Greg Fisher, released a statement, and I just think this is super strange, but I want to run it by you. He said, unfortunately, due to a provision in state law that I would very much like to see changed, both the chief and I are precluded from talking about what brought us to this moment or even the timing of this decision. So basically, oh no, we're protected by state law. Don't ask us any questions on why it took 98 days for anything to happen after Breonna Taylor was murdered in her sleep.
Well, so that one's a little bit more complicated. So we don't know that law. And sometimes there really are legal restrictions that are maddening where you really want to speak out and you're not allowed to. And so I empathize with any manager that has lawyers yelling at them, do not say anything, you'll be in even bigger trouble, etc. So I just don't know the particulars of that. But I wanted to add two last things here. I thought the person who should definitely be fired was the manager, whoever sent them in when they had already captured a suspect 10 miles away. And there was just absolutely no need to go into that house when there was no one to capture. There was just no point at all, clearly the wrong house, but they sent him in, and they not only sent him in, they sent him in with a battering ram. And then the only part of the form that they did fill out was they said that it was not a forced entry, a total lie. So to me, the manager, whoever that is in that context, is the one that is far more culpable. And then finally, cops across the country, especially in the slowdowns and calling in sick like they did in Atlanta, seem to be saying that they're outraged that they're getting fired for firing at folks when they view themselves to be in some degree of danger. And so they're saying, do you want me to hesitate before I shoot? I just want to be super clear. Yes, that's exactly what we want you to do. We want you to hesitate before you shoot, not to put yourself in danger, not if the guy has pulled a gun and is pointing it at you, but find out if they have a gun. Find out who they are. You're supposed to say, remember all the TV shows freeze, put your hands in the air. Remember the TV shows where they give chase instead of going, oh, the guy's running, let's shoot him in the back, right? Yes, in most situations, you should hesitate because you don't know who you're killing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Tulsa. That's a story that keeps developing and changing, but we'll tell you what's happening with Trump's rally as it stands right now. So Tulsa, Tulsa, Oklahoma had imposed a curfew to quell protests ahead of and during Trump's rally in the area, which is supposed to take place over this weekend. Now, the curfew has actually been rescinded, which I'm happy about, because the way this was framed by both the media and the Trump administration was that there were going to be violent protests in response to Trump holding his rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was no indication that these protesters had any intention of being violent. It just seemed as though they were trying to squash any protests in response to Trump. And luckily, these curfews have been rescinded. That's the latest update. So this is a statement from the governor, who said, "Last night I enacted a curfew at the request of Tulsa Police Chief Wendell Franklin following consultation with the United States Secret Service based on intelligence they had received." I'm sorry, that was actually from the Republican mayor of Tulsa, not the governor of the state. He also said, "Today we were told curfew is no longer necessary, so I'm rescinding it." So curfew around the area of the rally, it has been rescinded, it has been lifted, but that didn't change the fact that Donald Trump threatened protesters on social media. I want to go to his tweet where he said, "Any protesters, anarchists, agitators, looters, or lowlifes who are going to Oklahoma, please understand you will not be treated like you have been in New York, Seattle, or Minneapolis. It will be a much different scene." Okay. Minneapolis, what is wrong with me? Minneapolis, yeah. So yeah, so he's threatening the protesters.
Let me say two things about that tweet, and then we'll get to the mayor. So first of all, how were they treated in Minneapolis? Well, the cops stood on their neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds until they were dead. So that's Trump's view of the cops being not tough enough on protesters. So second of all, I am concerned about Trump and his mental decline. He's now, threatening to do damage to himself. He's saying that any lowlife going to Oklahoma should watch out. And we know who the lowlife going to Oklahoma this weekend is. There he is right there. Okay, so, having said that, it's curious and interesting that when they thought it was going to be black protesters, they're like, curfew, black people are dangerous, we gotta have a curfew. And then it turns out it was the MAGA guys who were lining up in the middle of the night to get a seat at the rally. They're like, oh, white people, oh, not dangerous, rescinding the curfew. It's so brazen, it's so brazen. I want to read you another statement by Trump. He said, "I just spoke to the highly respected mayor of Tulsa, P.T. Barnum." Okay, fine, it's G.T. Bynum, but close enough. He says he's gonna put on a great show, bearded lady and all. Anyway, no, back to the real quote. He said, "Who informed me there will be no curfew tonight or tomorrow for our many supporters attending the MAGA rally. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you to Mayor Bynum." Now, you got Trump himself, the president, coming into town, threatening violence. His crowd is showing up, amped up. They've beat up protesters in crowds before. Trump has encouraged them and told them he would pay their legal bills when they do. But those people are apparently not dangerous, thanks to the great mayor P.T. Barnum. But protesters exercising their First Amendment right and freedom of speech apparently are. And of course, remember, this is Donald Trump, who cries daily about how Twitter or others impinge upon his freedom of speech.
Yeah, exactly right. And I don't doubt that Trump would do anything and everything to unleash violence, brutality, absolute hell toward peaceful protesters. I mean, he's done it before. But there are plans to do like a counter rally, and based on what I've seen in their planning efforts and what their intentions are, they want things to be peaceful. But Cenk, I wanted to just issue one quick correction, because you said that people were camping out over the last night in order to go to Trump's rally. People have been camping out all week. Like literally camping out in line, waiting to go to this essentially death rally where Trump is not requiring people to wear masks. There will not be social distancing. And Kayleigh McEnany, Trump's own press secretary, said that she plans on attending and she will not wear a mask. So they are pushing this idea that wearing a mask is somehow a bad idea, or it's wrong, or it looks bad. And in a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal, Trump told them that he feels that some people who wear masks are purposely doing so with the intention of making him look bad. So he thinks it's some sort of weird conspiracy against him, when in reality, this is an effort to at least slow the spread of coronavirus. But in order for it to work, you need everyone to be on board. And unfortunately, we don't have that. And of course, as you guys know, the number of coronavirus cases are spiking in nearly 24 states, including Oklahoma and in the Tulsa area. And things are particularly bad in Florida, where on a single day, there were nearly 4,000 new coronavirus cases. That's the highest number so far.
All right, well, so first of all, on masks, I think Trump might be onto something. I wear a mask while sleeping and showering and think to myself, gotcha, Trump.
Got him.
No, we wear the mask when we go out because we don't want to get our family sick and we don't want to get other people sick. He's so obsessed with himself. I've never seen a narcissist on this level. It's absolutely insane. On the other hand, if McEnany and Trump and others don't want to wear masks in a place holding about 19,000 people, most of whom are not wearing a mask, while coronavirus cases are spiking in Oklahoma, great. That's their call, not my call. Freedom, baby, freedom. They asked his campaign manager, Brad Pascrell, and he's like, yeah, I'll probably wear most of the time. In other words, I didn't get all that Ferrari and Range Rover not to drive them. I'm going to wear the mask and let other people's die. So to give you a sense of how bad COVID is right now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it's in the last week at 140% increase. And it is the second fastest growing per capita state in the country in coronavirus cases. So it is skyrocketing right now in that city as he's going to rally there. And the last part of this is we got a perfect storm here. So we have coronavirus spiking in Oklahoma as Donald Trump packs 19,000 people, most of whom are not wearing a mask, in the same place. On top of that, you've got his MAGA crowd that he's encouraged towards violence. And you happen to have the epicenter of Juneteenth, which is this year in Greenwood in the Tulsa area. That is where the 1921 massacre happened, where 300 successful African Americans were murdered by white racists there. And so Juneteenth is a celebration of African American independence. So they're going there. So you've got a sizable anti-Trump crowd with a sizable and angry Trump crowd and coronavirus all converging on Tulsa on Saturday. So if things go wrong, it is going to be the definition of the Trump administration.
Yeah. We live in a failed state. We really do. It's just lack of leadership, profits over everything, including human lives. And by the way, Trump did plan on doing this rally on Juneteenth today, but later pushed it a day back after there was enough backlash. And he claimed that he didn't know what the day meant, which you're the president of the United States. And he was also quoted as saying the following: "I did something good. I made Juneteenth very famous. It's actually an important event, an important time, but nobody had ever heard of it." He said that. Donald Trump said that. It's painful. We live in a painful situation, Cenk. Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, look, I got to comment on that. I mean, the guy, he once said that he invented the word fake in the English language. He thinks if he hasn't heard of something that nobody has. No, you schmuck. It's been celebrated since 1865. The 1866 technically was the first anniversary of it, and they celebrated it in Texas, and it spread from there. So all those years of African Americans celebrating it in this country didn't count until Donald Trump found out about it. He's like, one of my Secret Service guys who's black told me about it. now because of me, now everybody knows about it. Nobody knew about it before. Okay. Not only is he wildly ignorant and offensive, but again, he's just too dumb to know how ignorant he is. So he just keeps saying these things that are so outrageous. And of course, had to be corrected. He said that and then pointed to a staffer as saying, nobody knew about it, right? And she's like, actually, sir, we've been putting out statements commemorating it for 3 years in a row. Oops.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Facebook finally takes action against the Trump campaign using Nazi symbols in their campaign ads. We'll be right back.
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be, featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity. The UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFTR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
Back.
Important things to tell you guys. We have election coverage on June 23rd. By the way, you should vote by then as well. Most importantly, New York, but Kentucky has some really important races as well, including the primary to see who's going to take on Mitch McConnell, and Virginia. So don't miss our coverage on that. It starts at 7 o'clock Eastern. And in New York, you got Jamal Bowman versus Elliot Engel. Heavyweight fight. If Jamal Bowman, Just Democrat, wins, it is an earthquake. The Just Democrats caucus will grow much stronger. And that'll be a second giant Democrat Just Democrats have taken out, and it'll be monumental. So don't miss that coverage. Hope is on the way. We don't know though. You got to get people to vote. You got to get people to vote. Okay. So and then secondly, just a fun note. Wanted to congratulate Praveen on 9 years. It'll be this Saturday when she started working for the Young Turks. She is the head of marketing for us.
I like that picture. That's such a great picture. You guys both look so great.
And young.
Cenk, you look young as hell. You look young as hell in this picture. When was this? 2010. It has to be.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, but that's back when I was at MSNBC, so it has to be 2010 or 2011. It's been forever. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for all your wonderful work. I really appreciate it. She's one of our management team. Okay, so real quick, just time for a couple of comments. Lieutenant McGee, who's in our members section, says, even Army Marine soldiers are strictly trained to positively identify the target before pulling the trigger, including in the middle of combat, so you don't, accidentally kill your battle buddy. Pretty sure we can hold the police to at least that minimal standard. That's a great point. I love our members and the points you guys make. TYT.com/join to become a member. And last one is from YouTube Super Chat. Adrian R says, thank you, TYT, for continuing to acknowledge and celebrate Juneteenth. TYT Army is and has always been leading the fight against injustice and oppression. #TooStrong. I don't know that we're leading anything, but Adrian, thank you for that sentiment. Really, really appreciate it. And check it out. That special is coming up in a half an hour. Anna, you're up.
All right. Well, Facebook has always taken a hands-off approach when it comes to Donald Trump and his campaign ads. But for the first time, Facebook has decided to take down some of the Trump campaign ads because of the Nazi symbols used in them. So the ads featured an inverted red triangle, which was used by Nazis to identify political opponents, including communists, social democrats, and liberals at concentration camps. The symbol included in 88 ads run by pages for President Trump, Vice President Pence, and Team Trump, alongside text warning readers of dangerous mobs of far left groups and asking them to sign a petition against Antifa. Also, keep in mind that there is some relevance to the 88 number here. So Ben the Arc and Media Matters for America both pointed out that the ad was run exactly 88 times across the 3 accounts. The number is well known, or is a well-known white supremacist code for Heil Hitler, with H being the 8th letter of the alphabet. It's just, so Facebook took the ads down, and I guess I'm glad they did, but there is a huge problem with Facebook, allowing certain content that ends up radicalizing, people who don't know better, people who might not be as into politics, aware of politics. I see it happening every single day with, private citizens, people I know personally, and I don't know what the right answer is because I don't think censorship makes sense. But I do also know that this type of Nazi symbolism is a huge problem, and I never want to have a debate about whether or not the Trump campaign is racist or engages in dog whistles. Of course they do. This is what, the millionth example of it happening?
And this one is not at all subtle. So there's one other aspect of this. In the first sentence, they use 14 words. Now, if you just took that out of context, I say, oh, come on, man, that could have been a coincidence that it's 14 words. So, but you got 14 words in the first sentence, which is another well-known number in neo-Nazi circles. Then you run the ad 88 times. There's no way that's a coincidence. That would have to be the world's largest coincidence. And you have an upside down red triangle. Who would think of including an upside down red triangle if you're not making a Nazi reference? Like, how would that occur to anyone? Now, there's super weak sauce excuses. Antifa sometimes uses that symbol. No, they don't. They're not fascists, they're anti-fascists. So reporters had to go and bother figuring out the symbols that Antifa sometimes uses, and it is not the upside down red triangle. They have arrows within a circle, et cetera, et cetera. They're anti-fascist. They're literally named anti-fascist, right?
So I want to show this next tweet because it's a Media Matters for America tweet, and it specifically shows what the symbols look like. And they also help to inform people that the campaign did run these ads 88 times with the inverted red triangle, an infamous Nazi symbol. So I just wanted everyone to see what the symbol looks like so you understand what was being spread across Facebook through these official Trump campaign ads.
No, look, guys, so 2 things. If you want to know what the red triangle stands for, so it was because, different things marked different people in the concentration camps. So the yellow star was for Jews, the pink triangle was LGBTQ. And by the way, if you don't remember, and they all died. They were murdered, okay? So the red triangle people also murdered. What did it stand for? Leftists, communists, but also social democrats and anyone who politically opposed the Nazi regime and anyone who hid Jews. So, holy cow, the president of the United States is using a Nazi symbol in an ad that he ran 88 times. And by the way, not remotely the top story today. Yesterday, we found out that he had encouraged the Chinese to set up concentration camps for Uygur Muslims 2 different times. We forgot to mention it in his outrageous statements that we found out in John Bolton's book. Because the president of the United States encouraging concentration camps and doing Nazi symbols in his ads has become that commonplace. We have an absolute horrific monster as president of the United States. If he regains power for another 4 years, there's literally nothing that could stop him. He does not believe in the rule of law, and we're going to lose the country to a very literal fascist. And people are debating on whether to vote for him or against him or not vote.
All right, well, since we're talking about the election, there is an important update to share with you all, and it has to do with Biden's VP pick. So, Amy Klobuchar has officially taken herself out of the running as a potential VP pick for Biden, and she explained why during a recent interview on MSNBC. Let's watch.
This is a historic moment, and America must seize on this moment. And I truly believe, as I actually told the vice president last night when I called him, that I think this is a moment to put a woman of color on that ticket. And there are so many incredibly qualified women. But if you want to heal this nation right now, my party, yes, but our nation, this is sure a hell of a way to do it. And that's just what I think after being through this in my state.
So, Cenk, it appears that she is, well, I have my own theories on why she's doing this, which I'll get to in just a minute. But many are analyzing this as her opening the door for Kamala Harris to be chosen as the VP pick. There are other Black female politicians who I'm very admirable of, including Representative Barbara Lee. Just a consideration. I know that that's a long shot, but please look into her because she is a courageous representative who was the only one who was willing to speak out against the Iraq war invasion when no one else was willing to. Anyway, just my suggestion.
Yeah, not just Iraq. Barbara Lee voted. It was the only person in Congress to vote against the Afghan war in the House, and so and that took tremendous courage. So yeah, she doesn't mean pick a Black VP. She means pick Kamala Harris. So let's just be clear about a couple of things. Some people are wondering, like, oh, is this like a great goodwill gesture by Klobuchar when she was still in contention? Who would be that naive? Come on, are you serious? So first of all, obviously she's bowing out because she has a 0% chance. George Floyd was killed in Minnesota. She was a prosecutor in Minnesota who ran on being tough on crime, which these days we now know means tough on Black people. She had no chance of being picked, none. That's why she bowed out. It was smart politics because she knows that the media is going to not say that. They're going to say, well, she had a reduced chance of winning, et cetera, but, a courageous move here and really looking to help the African American community. No. She has a problem that when she runs later for national office or is considered for the cabinet, people are going to say, hey, wait a minute now. She was not strong on Black issues or minority issues. But now she's going to get to say, but wait, I said to pick a Black VP. And the press is going to go, oh, she said to pick a Black VP. That's it. Amy Klobuchar is so good. It wipes away her record completely. Okay. And then there's a second point, which is kick Elizabeth Warren on her way out. So Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris appear to be the top two contenders. Elizabeth Warren, yes, is a progressive. I know a lot of you don't believe that. But certainly way more progressive than anyone else being considered. I wish Barbara Lee was being considered. Then I would argue Barbara Lee is potentially more progressive. But among the people that are in contention, Elizabeth Warren is the most left. And Klobuchar doesn't want anyone on the left. The establishment doesn't want anyone on the left. And that leads to, this is not just about Klobuchar. This is the establishment doing for the VP pick what they did for the presidential pick. So they all coalesced around Joe Biden and said, that's it, it's over, right? And now apparently the establishment is a little worried that Biden is actually seriously considering Elizabeth Warren. So now they're having the people like Klobuchar come out and go, no, it's got to be a Black VP pick. Oh, you want Barbara Lee? You want Nina Turner? Oh, no, I didn't mean Black. I meant Black, but I didn't mean Black. I meant the one I want, who's totally pro-establishment, Kamala Harris, who, by the way, has an identical record as me on crime. So I don't really care about the issue. I just want you to pick the person that looks the right way but acts the wrong way. So that's what this is all about.
Do you now understand why I'm super skeptical about any type of like shallow, hollow gesture that Biden does in response to progressives? I don't believe him. I don't trust. And look, that doesn't mean I get it. We need to get Trump out. Okay, but what I'm trying to also say is that we need to be real, and the establishment is going to do what the establishment does. And I think that your analysis is right, but I also would like to send a message to Elizabeth Warren that when it comes to your theory of change, which is what turned me off personally to what she was trying to accomplish, you got to acknowledge that moderates are not your friend. Centrists are not your friends. They're not going to work with you to accomplish things that you want to accomplish, the progressive policy proposals you want to accomplish. I remember there was a period of time during the primaries where Warren and Klobuchar got all like friendly with one another in attacking Bernie Sanders together. And I thought that it was pretty sick because Klobuchar doesn't care about progressive values or progressive policies. And she labeled herself progressive, by the way. And I do want to give Lawrence O'Donnell some credit because her prosecutorial record did come up in the interview. Let's hear how that part of the conversation went down.
As you considered your own prospects in the last few weeks, did you have concerns about your own record as a prosecutor in Minneapolis and how that might be dragged into the campaign and into the possible how you could function as a vice presidential candidate?
I think I could have functioned fine. And there's a lot of untruths out there about my record. And now is not the time to debate those. And some things that have been put out there on disreputable sites and passed through the internet. And that's just what life is in politics. But I don't think we should be taking this moment to have those kind of political fights.
So I'm glad that he asked that question because I really do think that her prosecutorial record weighed into her decision to take herself out of the running. And of course, she received a lot of justified criticism over the prosecution of Mayan Burrell, who is very likely an innocent person convicted for a crime he did not commit. There were so many flaws in his prosecution, in his conviction, and even though all those red flags were brought up to Klobuchar over and over again, she was the prosecutor in the case, she refused to do anything about it. And so, yeah, I mean, if I had that type of skeleton in my closet, I wouldn't want to have to deal with the scrutiny if I were a VP pick, and I think that that did weigh into her decision.
Yeah, last two things here. I think that this might, though, prove, ironically, that Elizabeth Warren is being seriously considered. If she wasn't being seriously considered, the establishment wing wouldn't have to do a campaign against her. It would be assumed. Now, at the end of the day, Biden will probably do what the establishment wants because that's who Biden is. But it is relevant that apparently it's a real contest. And then, given that Klobuchar did this, and like I said, if it is a movement by the establishment wing, what you will see next, even though they are not in contention because Biden has said that he's picking a female vice president, countdown to Buttigieg and maybe even Bloomberg coming out and say, oh, we also agree that it should be a black VP pick, because they both also have problems with race in their past. They're both the guys who also rallied around Biden to make sure it wasn't Bernie Sanders. So they would be logical people to come and try to make sure that there's no progressive anywhere near power. So whatever you or anyone thinks of Elizabeth Warren and her progressive credentials, the establishment apparently thinks she's way too progressive and they don't want her anywhere near the White House.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have more for you, including Donald Trump demonstrating just how little he really cares about small businesses. We'll be right back.
At TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your activity more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today.
Right back. Hey guys, welcome back to TYT. Anna and Cenk with you. What's up, Cenk? Not paying attention, messing around with your papers.
Okay, well, I got to get ready for the show, isn't it? Okay, so look, guys, one last fun notice for you guys. And we got the Juneteenth special coming up in a couple of minutes. But we got masks now to protect yourself during coronavirus. Don't tell Trump. He'll think it's to spite him. Or sure, spite them and keep healthy. ShopTYT.com is where you can find the mask. If you could read this, you're not practicing social distancing. Is selling like hotcakes. I don't know if we're gonna run out or not, but ShopTYT.com. I love No Justice, No Peace. The election is coming, etc. They're all available now at ShopTYT.com. And I want to a lot of folks. Wonderful statements, especially on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you to all of you, Andrew Crew, Kid Kick 69, Derek Walker, Coconut's Mom. I'll just read I love you guys as a kind of a summary of all those. Salty Anna and Angry Cenk, you guys saved me so much love, keeping the campfire warm in the heart of Texas. Thanks for doing that. The place where Juneteenth started, as we'll explain in just about 10 minutes or so. And then also wanted to just check the thermometer real quick one more time here. And then we'll give you 2 more stories, please. 96,645 at TYT.com/go. You can give now, throughout the weekend, anytime you can. Let's keep us strong and healthy so we've got real independent media in this country. We cover a lot of stories in different ways than the mainstream media would. Anyone who watches the show knows that. All right, Anna.
All right, so Donald Trump claims to care a lot about helping small businesses. He claims a lot of things that end up being complete, utter lies. And now we have some actual evidence of how little he cares about small businesses. This was during a meeting with small business owners and governors in the state of Nebraska. Let's take a look at how this went down.
Delivery business while adding a new service for our guests, curbside pickup. But with curbside pickup, it did come with some challenges. So increased labor would be probably the biggest effect on our bottom line. Additional employees have been added to answer the phones, and runners are needed to take orders out to the guests waiting in their car. So my Nebraska bakeries have now entered phase 3, starting this upcoming Monday, of Governor Ricketts' directed health measures. We anticipate our guests' desire to celebrate all of the life's events they missed over the past 3 months. New babies, birthdays, anniversaries, retirements, with our ultimate hope that we'll transfer into a much busier summer than we normally would have. I want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this important discussion.
Thank you very much. Great job.
I mean, Cenk, he's the one who has been encouraging states to open up prematurely, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. And this is all about how to safely reopen if you're a small business owner while coronavirus continues. And what did he tweet about during this? Like, what was so important that he absolutely had to be disrespectful toward this woman who's talking about her own experiences in order to tweet? Well, he was actually tweeting about tensions with China, and it revealed a disagreement between Lighthizer in his cabinet and himself when it comes to policy, trade policy with China. So this is what he said on Twitter. It was not Ambassador Lighthizer's fault yesterday in committee in that perhaps I didn't make myself clear, but the US certainly does maintain a policy option under various conditions of a complete decoupling from China. Thank you. Now, Lighthizer had earlier said that he does not believe that decoupling is an option when it comes to trade policy with China. So there's a disagreement there. But regardless, I mean, this is just, he's obsessed with Twitter, cable news, and does not care about anything or anyone other than himself. That's it.
All right, serious and light portion of the story. The serious portion, by the way, the thing that he tweeted is madness. So let me just quickly explain it to you guys. He's talking about decoupling our trade with China completely, meaning we will not do any trade with China. That's near impossible and would be economic ruin for the whole world. It's untangling the entire global economy. The reason his trade ambassador had taken it off the table is because obviously it can't be done. And if it was done, it would ruin our economy, their economy, the whole world economy. And he's like, oh, you want to explain that I can do it? I can decouple. Okay, so that's what he was doing. Now, did it have anything to do with reopening the economy that they were discussing? No. Was he paying attention? Of course not. So that gets to the lighter part of the story. I showed it to my 9-year-old son. And I was like, kind of looks like you when you're pretending to pay attention to me, right? And he's like, totally.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But isn't it amazing that he's in his 70s? I think he just celebrated his 74th birthday. Somebody should tell Melania. And so he looks around. Dude, you're the president. You're obviously on camera. He's like, oh, are they gonna catch me? Is anybody looking? Is anybody looking? Everybody's looking. Everybody's looking, you idiot. So and then the press that are watching him fiddle around with his phone are like, I wonder if he's gonna send a tweet. And then ding, 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 ding on all their phones, the tweet comes. It's timestamped at 3:56 p.m. in the middle of the meeting where he obviously just sent the tweet. So my favorite part of the entire story is, anybody looking? Anybody looking? Oh, yeah, that's very interesting. Idiot.
Yeah. So just to give you some more details about who was there, Trump sent that tweet during a White House event on reopening the economy from coronavirus-related shutdowns with Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts and Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt. And again, Lighthizer does not agree with Trump. I'm sure Lighthizer will be gone soon because no one's allowed to disagree with Trump on the issue of decoupling with China. But I mean, Pro is absolutely right. Your son is absolutely right. Watching that video reminded me of former students who would be on their phones during class, and I would ask them, please don't be on your phone during class. You got to pay attention. They're students, like they're, college student. Like, what is he doing? He's the president of the United States, but he doesn't take anything seriously. He's self-absorbed, narcissistic, sociopathic. He's just such a dangerous person in so many different ways and completely disrespectful of everyone and anyone. No loyalty to anyone, doesn't care about leadership. He's just a daily embarrassment and I can't take it anymore.
This story is a good example of when the Stitt hits the fan.
Oh my God, Cenk.
Speaking of children.
Yes. All right, well, I do want to switch gears because there's one final story I'm gonna share with you guys and it's a serious one. It involves yet another example of cops shooting someone as this person was running away. So the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies fatally shot an 18-year-old auto body shop security guard. Now, this happened, because the sheriff's deputies claim that they saw him flash a gun. That's their justification. But even though we have few details and the story is continuing to develop, the one thing that has been confirmed by the sheriff deputies themselves is they shot this 18-year-old as he was running away. His name is Andres Guardado, and he was, again, a security guard for an auto body shop. In fact, the owner of the auto body shop said the following: we had a security guard that was out front because we had just had certain issues with people tagging and stuff like that. And then the police came up and they pulled their guns on him and he ran because he was scared and they shot and killed him. He got He got a clean background and everything. There's no reason. Now, it's unclear whether he was wearing his security guard uniform. The cops claim that he was not. I am not willing to just believe the narrative coming from the sheriff's department. So I'm just putting that out there. But they claim he wasn't wearing a uniform. But honestly, even if it's confirmed that he's not wearing a uniform, he was running away. He was running away. So why was there a lethal weapon used? Why was he shot and killed if he was running away and did not pose an imminent threat to anyone, right? And by the way, his family is denying that he had a weapon on him. The cops claim that they retrieved a weapon from the scene.
Yeah, look, first a point about the power of propaganda. In my entire life, up until now, and mostly including now, whenever you got a local news version of this, they would always say, and the police say this as if it was fact. And that is how they tell you, black people are lying, the police are not. They've said it literally millions of times in every market in the country, always reinforcing police are good people, they always tell the truth, and if black people disagree with them, they're all liars. Millions and millions of liars, okay? Now, once we started seeing the videos, hey, turns out the cops lie. Well, I'm gonna say on a regular basis. So, is it 100% of the time the cops are lying? Of course not. Is it 100% of the time that they're in trouble, that we find at least some lie? Pretty close to 100%, yes. So if you tell me to believe the cops, yeah, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. And so I asked this morning in our production meeting, why is this a giant story? It looks like there's another African-American that they shot in the back. He was clearly running away. I know why, there's no video. And so until the video emerges, the cops will probably lie about it. Everybody in the press will report as if they're not historically massive liars, and try to blame the kid. He's 18 years old. So, and
by the way, just quick correction. He's Latino. He's not black, but it doesn't matter. He's a victim of police brutality and was not an imminent threat to anyone and shouldn't have been shot and killed as he was running away.
And there's some folks who are Afro-Latino. That's not. But I appreciate the correction. And so he's a person of color either way, right? And so, look, final thing about this is so important. You think, well, okay, let's say the cops aren't lying, he did have a gun. Well, what are they supposed to do? No, they're not supposed to shoot him. So for example, there's tons and tons of white people who show up to protest, who show up in their regular lives, who show up to Walmart carrying AR-15s. And they don't get murdered, they don't get shot. A cop doesn't see a white person with a gun and think, oh, I have to shoot him in the back immediately. If they're walking, running, it doesn't matter, they never get shot. Okay, it's not fair to say never. Some cops also do shoot unarmed white people totally unjustifiably. But historically and disproportionately, it is people of color. So don't assume because he has a gun and he's a person of color that they should have shot him. That's an insane and racist assumption. All right, we got the Juneteenth special next. Stay right here.
Thanks for listening to the full episode of the Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk, and I'll see you soon.